Hello everyone, welcome to GGN. This is part 3 for this news report today, October 10th, 2012. I'm Darko, and we're going to just keep moving forward here. Maryland Blue Crab Baltimore Bill predicts an early winter. So Maryland now has a crab that's in the business of predicting the weather. Good luck there, Mr. Bill, Baltimore Bill, because as they're spraying these chemicals and aerosols, I don't know how you can actually predict anything. But it says here that the Maryland Blue Crab walked the plank at the outer inner harbor Thursday in front of a crowd of onlookers. And it says here one side of the plank exit represented a warm fall, the other an early winter. Bill wasted little time in making the call for an early winter. So there you go. Then we have this article. The winter might be nasty. And the study blames melting Arctic ice. So global warming is going to cause it to be a bad winter. You love how this... How their logic is, dude. Get your winter coats ready thanks to melting Arctic sea ice. So thanks to you driving your car to go to your job, so you can pay off the interest of the Federal Reserve for the government taking on debt to kill people with drone strikes. This year's hot summer could be matched by a harsh winter. Of course, the hot summer was most likely caused by the spraying of the aerosols and the heating of the ionosphere through HAARP technology. It says a Business Insider, picking up on a study in Nature, says sea ice levels in late summer appear to be linked to a distribution of high and low pressure areas in the northern Atlantic that can affect storms and lead to extended cold surges. When there's less ice in the ocean, the atmospheric pressure gradients change, says one researcher. This means less of the wind that carries warm air. The impact will become more apparent in the autumn once the freeze-up is underway, and we can see how the circulation patterns have influenced the distribution of sea ice. So they say that they can probably expect somewhere in the mid to high latitudes of the northern hemisphere to have a snowy and cold winter. Europe's media goes completely deaf and dumb when it comes to record high Antarctic sea ice. That's right. It says here, when the Arctic set a record sea ice minimum back in August, the European mainstream media and government-funded climate institutes howled in deafening days-long chorus of global climate Armageddon. But in late September, an Arctic sea ice hit an all-time high, it says, reaching the highest level since the modern data recording began. So you have the 1979 to 2000 average, which is a solid gray line right there. Then you have the 2011 average, which is the darker blue dotted line right there, and then 2012, which is jumped up to there. All that extra ice beyond the 70-degree south latitude reflect the sun's precious heat back out into space, thus cooling the water even further, which means more ice will eventually develop. And thus there's a real risk of reaching a dangerous and irreversible tipping point into unstoppable warming-induced cooling. As we know, any extreme, we are told, is proof of global warming. So why hasn't the media reacted? Well, there's a limit to just how far the public and politicians, as gullible as they are, can be fooled. The media knows where the line is in Antarctica. When a cold, bitter, and snowy winter strikes, only absolute morons actually believe that is induced by global warming, and the media knows that there are enough of them making up their readership, I guess. But when it comes to believing that the global warming theory, whatever, causes 19 million square kilometers of ice to form around Antarctica, even when the media does not expect its dimwit readers to believe that, so they are keeping completely deaf and dumb about it, and informed readers, after all, the last thing they want. I call this Science Daily, or Science Propaganda Science Daily, because that's what they churn out mostly. But it goes on and says, melting Arctic ice cap is at a record, which has been closely monitored for the past 15 years, documenting the ice cover as it steadily shrunk in the wake of the Arctic and the global warming. From the patterns he's observed, this year's extreme melt could be the beginning of a frightening trend, so everybody gets scared, start shivering, start shaking. Sea levels continue, and ask the government what they can do for you. Maybe they'll have a carbon tax waiting for you, so you can pay money to go towards it. Is it going to stop the spraying of aerosols that actually help warm the planet up? No, it won't do that. They won't stop spraying, but you will keep paying for it. Sea levels continue to decline. Want to comment, Al Gore? The 2-year-long decline is continuing at a rate of 5 millimeters per year. The latest sea level numbers are out and says that it shows that the 2-year-long decline is continuing. No doubt Al Gore will pass good news on to his viewers, But what Al probably won't tell them is that this decline is a continuation of the sea level decline that began in 2010. So where is the water going? Well, it's being locked up on land as snow and ice. Look at the record snowfall throughout the western United States this past winter. Remember that in Vegas and all that? And in the south? That's how ice ages begin. If that sort of snowfall persists, sea levels will continue falling and won't begin rising until the end of the next ice age. So here's the chart for the sea levels from 2009 to 2011. Sea levels gone down. And then you remember this chart right here where the Antarctic sea ice has gone up. So water level's gone down, sea ice gone up. I mean, it's math for Marines. It's breaking it down shotgun style, as they say. Russia consecrates North Pole to reassert ownership. So part of World War II was that Soviet Russia actually got part of the North Pole. A Russian Orthodox bishop has lowered a holy memorial capsule into the sea at the North Pole in an attempt to consecrate the Arctic and reassert Moscow's claims to the territory. So there's definitely something going on as far as the North Pole goes, and in the Antarctic. You have this coming ice age. You also have them, like I said, manipulating the temperatures with aerosols and HARP, so that kind of has a warming effect as well. I'm not sure if that's what they're doing up north, and actually they're the ones that are melting it so they can get better trade routes and stuff like that, also access to oil reserves. But the countries are aware of it, and they could get into military conflicts over it. You probably remember this article I covered before. Ice breaking, U.S. oil drilling starts as nation's Mull changed Arctic. The scientists are working for Shell, fanned out in the summer of 2011 in preparation for the company's offshore drilling, which begun this weekend, or this is from September 10th, 2012. So as it gets colder, what's the government going to do? Well, they want you to freeze inside your homes in the name of saving the planet over global warming. So Denmark to tax firewood from September 29th, 2012. It seems like up to 750,000 Danish families from the next year will be taxed when buying firewood for their fireplaces, or wood-burning stoves. The future tax arising out of spring energy compromise, which introduced something as a sexy supply fee to be applied to all types of heating fuel. So this just goes to show you what they're really doing with this CO2 tax that the Aussies have just been slapped with. That's going to, make all their energy bills and food bills and everything else price-wise go up. Is what? It says here, and it makes no sense to tax the energy source that is both CO2 neutral, renewable, and saves millions of tons of oil each year. Well, they don't care about pollution. That's not what the CO2 tax or carbon tax or global warming is about. It's not about pollution. It's about regulating how much energy you use, regulating how much food you eat, regulating everything about you as an individual until eventually you just die off. That's what it is, right? It's about starving yourself and killing yourself in the name of saving the planet so that the elites can inhabit huge swaths of land scattered and inhabited with organic Angus beef cows and organic plants, and drinking water from their own, or basically aquifers, right? So that's what they want. So some people that were pro-green and environmentalists, they'll be like, they're shocked. They don't understand. It saves millions of tons. It's low CO2, right? No, it's about you being off the grid. Yes, Virginia, you must pay firewood tax in California from December of 2011. So, yeah, they also put taxes on Christmas trees. So nothing warms the hearts of government bureaucrats like holiday taxes on everything, including Christmas trees, reselling and buying firewood, cutting it, chopping it, or delivering it. Free firewood left to rot as program ends. This is from December of 2011 as well. Tropical Storm Irene blew down tens of thousands of trees in the region, and trees that could yield plenty of firewood for the needy. But a program aimed at putting that fuel in the hands of those who need it discontinued last week when the county, they say, for lack of interest. And with that cancellation, the county has to get rid of several cords of split firewood that are sitting on the county property, apparently unfit for burning. It says the county administrator said that the public works staff, they didn't have enough staff to cut it and split it and deliver the wood. So they use the excuse of the wood has decomposed to the point it should not be burned at home. They also had concerns about liability if the wood were to cause a chimney fire or mishap. So see, it's all about offloading liability. They didn't know, they couldn't figure out how to distribute it. How would you do that, right? So the government is a huge bureaucracy, very efficient at spying on millions of its citizens, very efficient at carrying out drone strikes thousands of miles away on people in remote villages, surgical strikes killing them, but somehow they can't distribute firewood out to its community of people that need it. The commander of the Salvation Army said that when people are looking for free firewood in the winter, especially when the funding for the Home Energy Assistance Program has been drastically cut, that there's no way that the stuff should have been left to rot. So yeah, there was administrative difficulties on how to distribute it. It relies on someone to make a judgment call as to who gets it. That was the problem. How about first come, first serve? How about a lottery? How about something except for letting it rot, dude, First snow of the year blankets China's Sichuan province. You can go there and check it out. It may be early October, but parts of China are already seeing the first signs of old man winter. Remember this article from October 5th? Denver hit with early snow after an unseasonably warm blast of heat. 2 days ago, it was above 80 degrees in Denver, and when residents woke up today, it was snowing. So, yep, and that's because of the spraying. They've been spraying us recently, a couple days ago, just massive spraying. Season's first snow average dates. So it says the 2012-2013 snow season has already gotten underway with the season's first flakes in part of the upper Midwest, Alaska, and of course Mount Washington. Then it's snowing in Minnesota. Yes, October is early for that as well. And this article is from October 5th. Early Friday morning, the temperature in Houston was gradually cooling from a high of 88 degrees. But they go on to say that the snow was what? Rare. Also saying the start of what could be a very snowy winter. First major U.S. snowstorm, cold snap, may harm some crops. Well, just like the drought, right? Farm exports have dropped $1 billion over the drought this summer. Yeah, the drought was the worst in a half a century and devastated the U.S. grain this year. Then next up, bad weather and poor harvest push up food costs. As experts say, the era of low prices is over. Well, they're going to do that anyways. Low-income households have to cut back on fruits and vegetable purchases, leading to a public health disaster. So the politicians in the UK warn that they need to tackle climate change, which is affecting crops and weather. No, it's man-made climate change, which is weather modification. Just come out with it and say it already. Quit beating around the bush. Quit lying. Scientific developments need to help farmers feed the world. And they're talking about genetically modified crops. So again, this is a PR. This is a public relations advertisement article. But the U.S. is on track for the warmest year ever. It's a near certainty barring a severely frigid final 3 months, which, as I covered in this report, we will probably have. Global warming to kill 100 million people by 2030. As U.S. remains the second largest emitter of greenhouse gases, stoking global warming. Well, it's not, but hey, the eugenicists want to kill at least what? 4 billion people, so, I don't think they'll really mind, but they're the ones that are stopping this, so it doesn't really make much sense. Again, the logic. They just want you to pay a carbon tax. They want you to reduce your standard of living to the point that you don't exist anymore, like I said. Hundreds forced from their homes after another day of torrential downpour. Actually, it's called a monsoon. We get those over here in the Midwest, too. The monsoon. It starts raining, and it doesn't stop, and it drips, 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 drizzle. And that's, of course, after they spray all day. And I pray all day that it will go away. But the chemicals continue to fall, much to my dismay. So we're talking about global warming reports about how many people are going to be killed, and alarming 2/3 of all scientific publications and research retracted found to be fraudulent. And the country that's at the tip of the spear is the United States. Scientists warn that geoengineering, or spraying of aerosols or chemtrails, can kill billions of people. And this research is tied to Keith, who manages a multi-million-dollar research fund for Bill Gates, who heads up the GM food and the vaccinations to sterilize and cull the population. The links will be posted. Go check it out. Find out how chemtrails adversely affect your health. The worst part is these nanoparticles that you breathe in get in your bloodstream and interact with Wi-Fi towers and that. And a Telegraph reader sent us a lovely photo of vapor trails. That's right, contrails. And it's all normal. That's what they say. They spray all day and it's normal. As they refer to them as contrails. A documentary explains why artificial clouds affect the climate more than CO2. They're offering alternative explanations for global warming, i.e. the spraying's causing the warming. If you see persistent contrails, chances are there has been cloud seeding activities near you. And cell tower regulations or lack thereof are frustrating homeowners after 8 cell towers went up next. But Health Canada states that radio frequency fields given off by cell towers are safe. So there you go, Lisa. Thank you.